You're listening to PetLifeRadio.com.
Hey everyone, welcome to Best Bets for Pets. I'm Michelle Fern, and we are on PetLifeRadio.com. Today, the most important thing with your dogs, being able to train them. It's really important. It's important for you as a pet owner and important for the dog. I have a wonderful guest today. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back, right after these messages. Stay tuned.
Buster, you're telling me my dog food products can't go on your shelves?
That's right. Didn't pass one of my Petco certified nutrition checklists. Sorry, Wayne.
Who made these checklists?
Geniuses. Very smart guys.
Well, it's good enough for most grocery stores.
Do you see cheese puffs on my shelves? Mayonnaise? Soda pop?
No.
That's because I ain't running no grocery store, Wayne. Your pets will get better nutrition, I guarantee it. Petco, where the healthy pets go.
Go to PetLifeRadio.com/Petco and get $6 off your order of $60 or more and up to 40% off hundreds of items at Petco. PetLifeRadio.com/Petco.
Dyson.
The new Dyson Animal Vacs are powerful bagless upright vacuums for homes with pets. Air muscle and radio root cyclone technology generates the strongest suction power to powerfully remove dust, dirt, and pet hair from the home or car. To order your Dyson Animal Vac, go to PetLifeRadio.com/Dyson. PetLifeRadio.com/Dyson to order your Dyson Animal Vac today.
Dyson. Music to your ears.
Having a rough day? Longing for the dog days of summer? Think your fun furry friend lives a dog's life? Well, find out everything you're begging to know as Pet Life Radio presents It's a Doggy Dog World with pet expert and award-winning author Liz Palika. Every dog has his day, and you'll find out how to make your dog's day fun and rewarding. Every week, on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com. Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I have with me renowned animal psychologist, Dr. Roger Mugford. Welcome, Dr. Mugford.
Hello, Michelle. Great to be on your program.
Great to have you on the show. Now, can you tell our listeners what exactly does an animal psychologist do, and how does that relate to dog training?
Well, so much of academic psychology is concerned with the behavior of animals. We've all heard of Pavlov, Skinner, Watson. Well, these were people who studied learning in animals and then translated that into theories about maybe how humans learned. And that's my background academically. I'm a psychologist, very interested in learning theory. And pretty much the same rules apply to animals as to humans. But actually, I got out of the laboratory and got into people's homes, people's cars, people's parks, where they interact with their pet animals, be it cats, dogs, horses. And I'm really interested in what's called the human-animal bond, the relationship, the psychological glue that attracts people to the company of animals. And really it's become a big field, a very popular field of research and commentary the world over, because people are amazed that every culture virtually on the planet seems to have a soft spot and a softer spot with each passing year for animals.
I know her especially because the company of animals has come out with a few really interesting products. What would you say is the most important training tool, or what's the most important thing you should teach your dogs?
I would say the most important training tool you could have is a crisp packet, an empty food container, or, of course, treats, because dogs respond very well to persuasion, and what's more persuasive than food? Just as it's, if you like, the currency of the motivation of the dog, just as unfortunately dollars, pounds, and the rest have become the currency of human beings. So that's very important. But another reward system that's really important for dogs is recognition. They have an ego, just like humans. And if you look at them and you smile and you give them a soft touch, they think, oh, God, I've been touched by the Almighty, Roger, Michelle, or any of you listening. And so they really love human contact and they love recognition, and that's feeding their ego. But there are a whole host of other reward systems that you can provide, of course. Opportunity to run, to exercise, opportunities to play particular favorite toys. All the amazing work that's done by these detection dogs that look for people carrying drugs or currencies, or if they're going to Australia, New Zealand, meat and vegetables. Their only reward for those dogs is just half a minute's play with a broken old tennis ball. So dogs are very manipulative. And the other big thing in a dog's life is access to play with another dog. I mean, dogs are supremely social animals, and they just love the opportunity to be with another dog, which is why they love to go out for walks and running in the park. And if you've got an only lonely dog, then maybe you should be thinking about having a second or third dog, as do I. And then you see really interesting hierarchical and within-pack interactions, which give you, as a human being, a different insight into your dog's behavior than if you had just one.
That's really interesting. I especially liked how treats are like currency for dogs. I've never heard that before. But it's so true. They could care less about dollars, and change and checks and all that, but give them, one of their favorite snacks or treats, and they're happy. They're really happy.
And people imagine that treats should be something special and different than the food that you give them for their regular meals, and dogs should have regular meals. Well, not necessarily. You can break down the dog's regular food allowance into, 100, 200 little mini meals and mini snacks. And each of these snacks can be a motivational experience. And you can incorporate those snacks into, say, a stuffed toy like a Kong, or into one of the interactive games, which a very clever, talented Swedish lady called Nina Otterson has devised. And these Nina Otterson interactive games can be rewarded for playing, not by winning money on the jackpot like going to Vegas, but 3, 4, 10 grams of food in one of the little food containers. So these Nina Otterson games are just fabulous, and it's a game that you play with the dog on the floor. And Nina's just got a fabulous new product called the Dog Treat Maze. And there the dog works on his own to release treats from the maze and learns that actually food doesn't come from nothing. Food is not free. You have to work for food. Did you know you have to work for the benefits of a salary? And increasingly, I think in lots of societies, we have to have people work for their social security, quite rightly, I'd say. And for dogs too, they shouldn't get things just thrown on the floor for doing nothing. Make them perform and make them do things to earn because in nature, dogs will have to work really hard to get tomorrow and today's food. They have to go out hunting and they have to track and scent and use all their skills and knowledge to find small or large animals of prey to kill and eat. And so it should be when they're pets in our own home.
Thank you so much for that information, because it's always important for dog owners, whether you have had dogs forever or you're a new dog owner, to know the importance of treats. What is probably the most important thing to teach your dog?
To want you and to appreciate your company, I'd say. And you've got to earn that. In other words, you've got to be important. And if your dog thinks you're important, he'll come back to you when you let him off the lead. If he thinks you're important, you'll get, a big friendly tail wag and a lick when you come home. And it is that sort of appreciation that really makes us want to keep dogs, especially dogs, because they are so social and they work pretty much like humans, or maybe pretty much like 3, 4, 5-year-old children. So I'd say come and stay, but then everybody needs to have their dog sit, because unless they've got some musculoskeletal defects, like some little achy muscles, to sit means that they can't move, that they're in one place. And obviously, in trafficked areas in our cities, it's so dangerous. So from a distance, if you can get your dog to go into a sit or better, a lie down, then that could save his life. But there's a whole host of other things. I think dogs need to use their senses, their sense of smell, vision, and their brains, and that can come from tracking. Following scents, it's such an easy thing to teach. The dogs just love to use their nose. And I've got a dog, I must tell you, Michelle, it's called Bounce, and he's a Labrador. And I've got another dog who's a Staffordshire, who's hopeless and really naughty. And the Staffordshire keeps on going off and getting lost. And I can take the Labrador to where I think the Staffordshire is and say, go find Humphrey. And this Labrador goes off hunting him. But equally, I can say, go find my old slippers, or where are my socks, or where's this, or where's that. And this Labrador has a whole vocabulary of range of objects that he will go searching. And it's not difficult to teach these little useful tricks. And, dogs for the disabled, or these assistance and disability dogs, that's the basis of the training of those, usually Labradors or Retrievers. But many of us have dogs that would just love to be useful around the house.
Yeah, it's funny. I think of mine, and dogs have such different personalities with what you could teach them, what they're good at, the ones that are obstinate and just don't want to learn. I could just imagine them that if they were people, they'd be, in a classroom, the class clown.
Yeah. Well, I think every dog's got a lot more capacity for learning and for doing things than we give them credit for. And that's my experience with clients. We constantly underestimate our dog's abilities and cleverness. And now there's a lot of new research showing that, would you believe, pigeons, and before that rats, have some very complicated cognitive lives. And if rats and pigeons can do it, well, sure as heck dogs can do it. I've got dogs, most listeners have got dogs that when you're driving home, when you're within 5-10 miles of home, kilometers, the dog wakes up and says, right. What is it that they're responding to? It may be smell, but more likely it is changes in the magnetic of the earth, of the surface of the earth. So dogs are just like homing pigeons and swallows that go north-south migrations. They're very sensitive to things that we don't know about, magnetic forces in the surface of the earth. Dogs don't like to be left at home and ignored. They are not couch potatoes. They're not just some if you like, cushion that you can have on your lap to keep you warm and amuse you. Not a little stuffed doll. That they must be given the opportunity to lead good and fulfilling lives.
Now, the company of animals has come out with a few different types of training products. So let's talk a little bit about those. What is the purpose of the pet corrector?
Well, I'm a psychologist, which means I've been studying animals and their relations with people, and I've been looking at the training problems that people encounter, because my job is to solve behavior problems, big problems in that dog owners complain about. And obviously, usually it's dogs that bite, aggressive dogs. But one of the recurrent mistakes that I see pet owners making with their animals is that they whack them, they smack them, they shout at them, they kick them, they do all sorts of horrible things to their dog, when inevitably the dog jumps up, the dog steals the cat's food, it runs upstairs with muddy paws, it jumps into the car when it's mucky, it defecates, urinates in the wrong place, maybe on your carpet. There's a host of things that potentially a dog can do, and indeed when they're puppies will do. And there's just too much corporal punishment, if you like, and one suspects that, if you could have capital punishment, hanging for some mistakes, then people will say, yeah, go for that. You stole my Sunday dinner roast joint, you've got to die for that. Well, of course, that's a nonsense. And dogs don't think that way, and physical whacking dogs must stop. And so we were thinking of a way to stop that. Now, I've been for many years dealing with seriously aggressive, dangerous dogs, and invented the concept of a carbon dioxide CO2 compressed gas fire extinguisher. Do you know the sort? I mean, the big steel cylinders, they go, and a cloud of white CO2 gas goes up, and it's scary. And it turns out, when you look at dogs' reactions to this scary stimulus, that it is the sound mostly that they're responding to. And that sound relates to the sound of a bunch of wild animals, snakes, geese, swans, some insects, and they make that sound.
Can you tell our listeners what the pet corrector actually looks like?
The pet corrector is a little tiny can. It stands about 5-6 inches high, and it contains compressed gas. Now, this gas is then released through a little orifice that makes a special sound, much like the sound of an angry snake or a goose. And I'm going to give you an example with one that I'm holding right now. And it's tuned so that particular sound is aversive to dogs. And I have to say it's not particularly aversive to me or you or any human being, because our human hearing range is at a much lower level than the dog. So this is so-called white noise and a lot more high-frequency components that dogs find really quite scary. And something like 98% of all dogs respond to that initially. 2% get angry and come say, hey, don't do that again. But most retreat, and it's an aversive stimulus. And all aversive stimuli, just like hitting dogs that I was criticizing earlier, should be used very sparingly. But there will be occasions when, if you like, you have a child who touches a hot stove, or you play with electricity when you don't know what you're doing, you're going to be punished for doing that. And sometimes dogs need to be punished for doing certain things that you don't want them to ever do again. It's too dangerous. They step off a sidewalk and into traffic. They're a dead dog. So they must know that the only safe place is the pavement and the road is dangerous. They chase a jogger. Joggers don't like being chased by dogs. Or in some really serious life-threatening conditions, that's when we use the pet corrector. Actually, we find in all our studies that we sold well over 1 million plus of these little devices, that a lot of people are using it to stop barking, nuisance barking, that obviously upsets the neighborhoods. And the commonest situation would be dogs in the car that yap. Or at the beginning of a walk, have you seen that, Michelle, when somebody's got 3 or 4 Cavaliers or little terriers, and they all bark, and you just lose control of what's happening. Well, a pet corrector is a way of saying, silence! And they all sit down and say, okay, never do it again. And thereafter, all you do is hold the can, say, make my day, here's the pet corrector. It's colored red and it's very distinctive. And the dog realizes that when you're holding that in your hand, he's got to behave. He mustn't jump up, mustn't steal the cat's food, mustn't go upstairs, and so on and so on.
It's a great idea because it's harmless. It's just, compressed air.
We have so many positive feedback from veterinarians, professionals, and people who said, it's been my lifesaver. And then, of course, you can fill that void, because it is a void, the dog stops doing something naughty, fill that space in time with positive, nice things to do. Retrieve a toy, rough and tumble, anything, go off on a little scent track. And it just gives you an opportunity to revert to reward-based training. But reward-based training isn't going to stop something that the dog itself finds more rewarding. It's really rewarding for a dog to chase a cat or a squirrel up a tree, even though they never catch the squirrel, and they love it. So there has to be something that says no before you can say, well, alternatively, we can go and dig for mushrooms in the forest, or we can recover that ball that I've thrown into the bushes.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back, right after these messages. Stay tuned.
Every pet is unique. Maybe they're gray in the muzzle, yet young at heart. Maybe they're growing out of the puppy stage and into their paws and ears. Or maybe they're just trying to maintain a more girlish figure. At PetSmart, we have the right food for your pet at a great value for you. PetSmart. Be better together.
Go to PetLifeRadio.com/PetSmart and save up to 30% on toys, collars, leashes, PetSmart gift cards, treats, and more. Go to PetLifeRadio.com/PetSmart today.
I don't make any decisions about who to hire without going to Angie's List first.
You'll find reviews on home repair to healthcare, written by people just like you.
With Angie's List, I know who to call, and I know the results will be fantastic.
Angie's List. Who you can trust.
Go to angieslist.com/best and get 25% off any subscription. That's angieslist.com/best. BEST.
Love your pets but wish their medications were a lot less expensive? They are at 1-800-PET-MEDS. You'll not only save on flea and heartworm medications, but on prescriptions for arthritis, incontinence, thyroid, and more. And you get fast service, free shipping, and a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Plus, our licensed pharmacists ensure accuracy, monitor drug interaction, and more. See why over 5 million people have trusted their pet's health to 1-800-PET-MEDS, America's largest pet pharmacy. Call now or order online.
Go to 1-800-PETMEDS.com/best, BEST, to get 10% off any order and free shipping on orders of $39 or more at PetMeds.com.
Coast to coast and around the world, it's Oh Behave with Arden Moore. Find out why cats and dogs do the things they do and get the latest buzz from wagging tongues and tails in Rin Tin Tinseltown. From famous pet experts and best-selling authors to television and movie stars, you'll get great tail-wagging pet tips and have a fur-flying fun time. All Behave with America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore. Every week on demand. This is the place for a special paparazzi treat. Only on PetLifeRadio.com.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I have with me animal psychologist Dr. Roger Mugford. Another product that the company of animals has is the Baskerville Ultra Muzzle. Now, I always think that a muzzle is for really aggressive dogs, and I'm not sure I love the idea of putting a muzzle on, although I know it's, very good to have.
Yeah, well, I agree with you, Michelle, actually. I don't want every dog to need to wear a muzzle. In fact, the whole purpose of my work and, pioneers like Ian Dunbar and Mike Fox and others who work in the US over the many years is that we all want every dog to be a perfect companion pet and not to need a muzzle because of aggressive behavior. But the truth is some dogs are aggressive for whatever reason. They've not been so lucky in life. They didn't get good dog parents. And maybe they've got some genetic predisposition to biting, and biting is unacceptable. So a muzzle which allows the dog to be comfortable, to be engage in normal behavior, and importantly to receive treats is what I've been looking for, what I've been trying to develop, and I have developed it, and that's what this Ultra Muzzle is doing. It's going to completely revolutionize the treatment of aggressive and dangerous dogs and gives them a second chance, which is what I want. A dog that bites once, twice, it's still 99.999% lovely dog. It's just on one occasion or two occasions, and in very usually particular circumstances, it has bitten. It's restrained at the veterinary surgeons and it's scared, or it's the groomers, or it protects and defends the car, or it's certain types of other dogs. I've got a dog that hates black Labradors. You can't go out and have black Labradors put in danger by having such a dog. Have it wear a muzzle, and then engage in some positive reward-based behavior modification. But the muzzles that have been around historically and have not been comfortable, did not allow the dogs to drink, and in hot weather like yours in Florida, they cannot pant. So it's really important that we don't use these, we call them sock muzzles, fabric muzzles, that clamp the jaws closed and the dog can't keep cool. Did you know, Michelle, that 90+% of all the heat loss from the body is lost just through inspired and expired air across the nasal gland in the nose, and it's not through sweating on all the ways that we humans lose body heat. So it's really important that they be able to open their mouth and pant with their tongues lolling out, and that's what this Baskerville Ultra muzzle design does. And I'm very proud of it. It's one of the best things I've done. All parts of the USA, well, many parts of the USA, but other countries too, have breed-specific legislation. Certain breeds have to wear a muzzle, regardless of whether they've done anything good or bad. So usually it's pit bull terriers. We've got a law like that in the United Kingdom. In Spain, it's a bunch of other dogs. In Scandinavia, again, it's usually pit bull terriers. And it's completely unfair and irrational to have this breed-specific legislation, but those dogs that have to wear muzzles deserve the right to wear muzzles that are not too restrictive.
I've only had to request a muzzle a few times. When you said groomer, I thought, oh yeah, that's it. Because the dogs, I've had a few dogs so far in my life, and they don't really like their nails or paws, the paws touched or the nails cut. And in that instance, I would never want my dog to bite anyone. And I've told the groomer at the time, if you have a muzzle, you need to use it. I'm okay with that. They probably didn't have a Baskerville muzzle because this was a while ago. But I really like the idea of a muzzle that, even though it's restrictive on the dog, it's still comfortable.
Literally, the Ultra muzzle isn't restrictive. It allows a full gape. And the dog can, if they have to, wear it for many hours at a time. But, it's true of all muzzle designs. A dog wearing a muzzle must be supervised. You should never leave a dog muzzled indoors or in your yard, lot, car, if it's not accompanied by you. Because dogs can pull muzzles and then they get jammed into their mouth or they vomit into them. And of course it's very, very cruel and dangerous to have that situation arise. But there's some really bad muzzles about, and the Baskerville only been available for 8-9 months. It's been, I have to say, a worldwide success. It's going to be like the Gucci of the muzzle fraternity. We're trying to, and we're going to make it in scary colours like pink and jolly colours as well as black. But at the moment they're all in black, and I don't know. I'm trying to get the world to be a little bit more exotic about the colours of pet accessories that they buy.
I think an exotic dog muzzle, that would do well. It's very interesting. Might as well brighten
We'll have one in bling with sheen and diamante inserts and things like that. And maybe a little flashing collar built into it too.
Now, talking of flashing color, the vivid color, that is great. Tell our listeners, please, about the vivid color.
Well, we're here in the Northern Hemisphere in the dreary old midwinter, aren't we? Well, there's a prospect of spring because the days are gradually getting longer. But anyway, most of us getting up early, walking our dogs in nights, dark mornings and dark evenings. And it's really dangerous. Now, there have been many, many flashing lights attached to dogs' collars that themselves have flashed. But the Vivid collar that we designed is rechargeable. So it's rechargeable via a USB charger, and we supply this with the collar. And each charge will last for hours, about 15 hours. And so I don't know how long your walks are, but most people walk their dog for an hour or so. So it's really making flashing collars easily accessible to any dog owner. It's a nice looking collar, the sort of collar that you would want to leave on the dog day, night, winter, summer. And it's trouble-free, and obviously you don't then have to look for batteries when inevitably it runs out of charge. You just stick it in the wall and it'll recharge. So safety, and a lot of the work we do for animals, our company of animals, is for the benefit of the animals, and safety with the ultra muzzle we were just talking about is just as important as safe restraint systems like the Halty head collar. Michelle, I'm the one who invented the Halty head collar, which is a nice way to walk a dog that's big and strong. And it was the idea behind the pet corrector to stop aggressive dogs causing harm and scaring people. And likewise, this Vivid collar is strictly for the benefit of the animal, so that they're not going to be hit by cars and you're not going to lose them in the forest, in the woods, in the dead of night.
It's a very attractive collar, and it's very easy to recharge. Is this collar available in all sizes for all types of dogs, or just for larger dogs?
If you've got a little, 3 kilo, sort of 8-10 pound Chihuahua, then it's just at the lower limit, I'd say. So anything bigger than a Westie, it'll fit just fine. A little Jack Russell, it'll fit fine. Up to, a giant breed, really. So 3 sizes in 3 colors, black, blue, and red. And we've only introduced it this year for this winter season. And it's been a big hit in the United Kingdom and in the USA. Next year we'll be rolling it out across the world, and it's been a big old success. What we found is that we don't say it's waterproof, we say it's weatherproof, and if a dog jumps in the pond, is it going to survive? Well, actually, we've had really good feedback in this first year. Dogs have jumped into ponds, and it seems to be able to resist water pretty well. That's the big worry with all these electrical devices on dogs. Are they going to be destroyed by water?
It works well, and it also makes the owner feel safe because you see the dog, you figure there's someone else with the dog, so it just makes you and your dog more visible. And
there are 4 settings on this Vivid collar. And one of them is a light-sensitive mode, so that when the dog is in daylight or in an illuminated house with normal lights on, it goes off. And then as soon as the dog goes outdoors, it comes on again automatically in the dark. So that's a really handy little feature. It also is reflective, so in car headlights it'll show up. And it also glows in the dark as well. So we try to provide all these extra little features, and it's not a lot of money. It should sell for about $15, $19 max, so depending on the size. So it's within the same sort of price range as people buy regular collars, but it has all these functional benefits as well.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mugford. You've given our listeners so much interesting information about training dogs and about the products available from the Company of Animals. Where can our listeners find out more about these products and also about you and the books you've written? Because that could be very useful for further training with their dogs.
Well, if you Google my name, Roger Mugford, I'm afraid all sorts of terrible things about what I've done in life will come up. And make sure you get the right R. Mugford, because I've got a daughter, a very clever daughter, who's a PhD, Dr. Ruth Mugford, and she's an astrophysicist and saving the world. But so you Google Mugford's good. Go to our website, www.companyofanimals. If you live in Europe, .co.uk, or .com in the US, or companyofanimals, one word, .us. And I'm at the end of a phone. I'm a very accessible person, so through the website you can reach me directly, send me an email. We're on Facebook, and got a lot of fans on Facebook. We're just beginning to tweet. Oh my God! And I don't do all my own tweets, but we're a pretty accessible and 21st century company. And but what we're dealing with is a relationship that goes back tens of thousands of years. We've all seen these amazing sort of information, internet-based changes in the last 10, 20 years. Dogs are keeping up with this. There are camcorders that allow you to see the world the way your dog sees it, with little camcorders on collars. You can look into what your dog is doing at home when you're in the office, can't you, all through the day. You can communicate with your dog directly through the internet, and pretty soon we'll be having dogs driving cars, I reckon, and doing all the bad things that we humans do. We have so humanized and brought dogs on and into our lives, and I think it's fantastic.
It is. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
It's been brilliant and wonderful talking to you. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mugford, for coming on Best Bets for Pets and telling our listeners about training their dogs and the different products available from the Company of Animals. Listeners, you can find out more on the episode page of this episode about Dr. Mugford, as well as about the Company of Animals, and there will be a link to the website. I'd like to also thank my team that tested out all these wonderful products from the Company of Animals. Thanks, Mr. Z, Dennis, and Nikki. And a special thanks to my producer for making me and my guest sound fabulous. And a huge thanks to my audience of listeners. Thank you so much. Any feedback, please send to michelle@petliferadio.com. Have a good one.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.